So, picture a mid-level executive using a competitor's internal boardroom drama to pull off this, like, totally bloodless, hostile takeover.
Right. But in this case, the executive is an ancient Greek cavalryman.
Exactly. And the prize is the most powerful city in the Mediterranean. Welcome to today's deep dive. We are unpacking the historical sources on Gelon of Syracuse.
Yeah, our mission today is really to figure out how this opportunist forged an ancient superpower practically overnight.
And engineered a victory that seriously rivaled Sparta and Athens. But, to understand how he pulled that off, we have to look at his playbook. He didn't just inherit an empire.
No, he hijacked it. Before building this mega city, Gelon was just a cavalry commander in Gelon.
Right. And when his boss, the tyrant Hippocrates, died, Gelon was appointed as the guardian for the guy's young sons.
Yeah, but instead of protecting their inheritance, he just secures the army's loyalty, pushes the heirs right out of the picture, and takes Gela for himself.
Which sets him up perfectly for Syracuse, right? Because Syracuse was literally tearing itself apart in a class war.
Exactly. The aristocrats had been exiled by the commoners, so Gelon didn't even have to break down the gates.
So he just champions the exiled elites, marches them back home, and the city practically hands him the keys. It is exactly like that brilliant, ruthless corporate move we mentioned.
It really is. And to give you some context, Western Greek tyrants operated entirely differently from mainland Greeks. They didn't care at all about constitutional legitimacy.
Right, they relied on, entirely different things.
Yeah, their power rested on three main pillars. You had military force, personal charisma, and aristocratic wealth.
But marching into a divided city is the easy part. Holding it is where it gets hard.
Oh, definitely. And to lock down Syracuse, he deploys this shockingly drastic urban planning strategy called synoecism.
Which is essentially forced mass relocation, right?
Literally wiping cities off the map. He destroyed the neighboring city of Camarina and marched its entire population into Syracuse. He even took half the citizens of his own hometown, Gela, and moved them too.
Okay, let's unpack this for a second, because his treatment of another city, Megara, makes absolutely no sense to me. He conquers them, but then grants full Syracusan citizenship to the wealthy elites.
Right, the exact same people who started the war against him.
Yeah, but meanwhile, he sells the innocent commoners into slavery outside Sicily. Like, why on earth did you reward the enemies who fought you and liquidate the innocent bystanders?
Well, it's chillingly pragmatic. Gelon viewed governing purely as ruthless resource management. He didn't care about justice, He just needed human capital to build a superpower.
Ah, so the aristocrats were useful.
Exactly. They had wealth, administrative skills, military training. They were valuable assets. The common masses, though, he saw as a total liability.
Wait, didn't he call them an unpleasant neighbor or something?
Yeah, he famously referred to the common people as an unpleasant neighbor because they brought the constant threat of a democratic uprising. So by selling them off, he just eliminates the risk of political instability entirely.
Wow. So he engineers this perfectly managed, artificially inflated, aristocratic mega city. But importing tens of thousands of people overnight creates a massive target.
Carthage certainly thought so. They looked at this sudden superpower in their Sicilian backyard and launched a massive invasion in 480 BCE.
Which leads to the Battle of Himera. And Gelon wins this using a brilliant, almost movie-like stratagem, right?
Yeah, it's wild. He intercepts Carthaginian messengers and disguises his own cavalry as enemy reinforcements. They ride straight into the Carthaginian camp, burn the fleet, and kill the general, Hamilcar.
Just a completely devastating victory, but here is where it gets really interesting to me. Earlier that same year, mainland Greece begged Gelon for help fighting the invading Persians.
Right, they really needed him.
And Gelon offered a massive army, but only if they made him supreme commander of all Greek forces. They said no, so he stayed home. Was that just pure arrogance, or was he intentionally stalling because he secretly knew Carthage was mobilizing?
That is actually one of the great scholarly debates. Some argue he was genuinely willing to fight Persia, but just demanded respect that matched his immense military power.
And what does the other side say?
Others argue he was completely hedging his bets, fully aware the Carthaginians were already on their way. And this raises a super interesting point about ancient propaganda.
Oh, with how the ancient writers handled the timeline.
Exactly. Writers like Herodotus desperately wanted to link the Western and Eastern Greek struggles. So they actually claimed that Gelon's victory at Himera happened on the exact same day as the Greek naval victory at Salamis.
Wait, really? So they basically mythologized the timeline to make Gelon's win feel cosmically aligned with the mainland's survival.
Precisely. It elevated Himera from just a regional territorial dispute to a battle for the survival of Greek civilization itself.
And Gelon was a total master of that kind of narrative control. I mean, look at his final PR stuff.
Oh, right, the whole assembly thing. Knowing full well how they'd react.
Yeah. After Himera, he calls an assembly, walks out completely unarmed, and just offers to resign all his power.
And naturally, the terrified, grateful citizens refuse and hail him as their savior, cementing his legacy as that rare historical anomaly, the good tyrant.
Exactly. So, what does this all mean for you listening to this deep dive right now? Here's a final thought to mull over.
Yeah, looking at everything we've talked about today.
Right. Does Gelon's incredibly successful, stable reign prove that the dangerous concept of a benevolent tyrant can actually exist? Or, when we look at the bloodless takeovers, the mass deportations, and the perfectly timed myths, are we just reading the masterful propaganda of a victor who wrote his own history? Something to think about next time you see a leader hailed as a savior.